Hi everybody, Nancy here with Agape and Next Steps. And this video that I'm posting today was inspired by an article that came across my newsfeed the other day. Like most of us, I get inspiration based on things that I'm exposed to throughout the day, whether it's people's thoughts, discussions, things on the news feed, different movies. There's a lot that goes on around us every day that influences us to some degree. So the other day, an article that I found very interesting came across my news feed, and it was about, what was it called? The Art of Not Caring, 8 Simple Ways to Lead a Happy Life. And I found that obviously attractive just as a title to draw me in to learn more about it. Once I got into the article, it was written by a young fellow who practices the art of Buddhism. But when you read the article, it's not something that you would have to be a Buddhist to actually embrace and learn from. So I thought it might be inspiring to all of us to put out this video that talks to some of these tenets that they have there that will help you live a happier, more stress-free life. Because after all, this channel is about the art of aging well. And if you can reduce stress in your life, it's going to help you physically, it's going to help you emotionally, and it's going to help you mentally. I'm going to go through the list of items that were in this article and see if you can relate to them as well. So the first point was about allowing for imperfections. I don't know if it's just human nature or if it's just the pressures of our society, but we have very, very little navigational room for making errors. We expect everything to be perfect all the time. We want to structure everything so that everything is perfect. And the reality is that nothing is perfect. We can plan. What's that expression? Man plans, God laughs. So we can plan all that we want, but we have to accept the fact that life is imperfect, that we are imperfect, that our loved ones, people around us are imperfect. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to do things that don't follow what we had laid out as our plan. And we have to learn to have some tolerance for that and to allow people the latitude to make those mistakes without just writing them off because there was a bit of a mistake. And that includes yourself as well. The second point was about embracing mindfulness. Yeah, I know, everybody talks about mindfulness now. That's kind of the catchphrase right now. But being mindful simply means to live in the moment. There are many, many articles, many, many teachers out there, many, many books that talk about living in the present moment. And although it is incredibly difficult to actually practice, if you think about it, it does help alleviate stress in that moment, in that time. If you're concerned about what happened in the past, you have to learn to accept the fact that what happened in the past cannot be undone. What you can do is you can learn from it. You can embrace the lessons that you learned and put those into practice in the future. Again, now let's talk about the future. The future is ahead of us. We have no way of knowing. We can plan for the future, but we have to level our expectations because life has a way of throwing things in our way. And what we wish to happen in the future isn't necessarily going to be what the future will hold. But if we live in the here and now, if we pay attention to what we are doing right now, how what we are doing is impacting anybody else, how it is helping ourselves, that will give us a more stable peace of mind going forward. The next point was about accepting that there is struggle and discomfort in the world. We try to avoid, obviously, having any kind of pain, emotional, physical, whatever, enter our lives. Because let's face it, it's uncomfortable. It's not something that we strive to go out and engage in every day. But there is hurt, there is struggle, there is suffering out there. Life is hard. And if you embrace the thought that we're going to learn from these struggles and that it gives us opportunities to share with others what we've learned and help them with it. For instance, why I started this channel was because of my experience with a friend's suffering. She has Alzheimer's. She has been down a long, many-year road of losing her memory, losing her independence, all of those kinds of things. But what it did by her engaging me as her legal representative was her struggles in life helped me learn how to help others so that they're better prepared should something like this happen to them. So embracing the fact that life is hard and not rejecting it, not fighting it. If you fight it, you're setting yourself up for stress and being unhappy. So if you can embrace and acknowledge that life is hard, it also makes the joys that much more joyful. The next point is about self-compassion. Often we can find it easier to forgive others than forgiving ourselves. This kind of goes back to the past. If you linger on the past and what you did, what you could have done different, without embracing the lesson and forgiving yourself for that, it's going to keep you stuck back in those negative thoughts. But if you can allow yourself the same latitude that you give other people, that you're not perfect, that you will make mistakes, that maybe one day you're just really tired and you snapped at somebody and you didn't mean anything, and you apologized to them and they forgave you for it, but did you forgive yourself for jumping in there and creating that discomfort at the moment for that person? If you can forgive yourself for being human, you will have less stress and you'll be more comfortable in your own skin. Then there's the point about reducing your ego. Not eliminating ego. We all need a sense of ego in order to survive in this world. We do have to take care of ourselves. If we can't have love and compassion for ourselves and forgive ourselves, we cannot do that same thing well for others in our lives. So we should work, though, on reducing ego. When you're going to make a decision, take a look at the decision that you're going to make and understand your motivation for making that decision. Why are you making that decision? Is it ego-based? Is it so that you'll look like you're wonderful to everybody else? Is it to position yourself as being more powerful than anybody else? Or is it because it is something that is going to benefit you in your learning of and embracing of life's lessons? Or is it something that will help you be able to help others? Or is it something that is just self-serving? Embrace that, take a look at your motivations, and try to reduce your ego in your decision making. The next point is about letting go of expectations. Again, human nature, we plan, we plot, we make scenarios in our head. I'm sure all of us have experienced where we go through, if we don't verbalize it, in our heads, if we're going to be confronting an issue or confronting a person, we run through a whole discussion. And I'll say this, and then they'll say that. And guess what? 90% of the time, it doesn't unfold that way. So you get yourself all worked up and you create these expectations of how something is going to unfold. And at the end of the day, it doesn't happen like that at all. And perhaps it's a very peaceful resolution and there's not the argument. So you spend all of this time in turmoil, creating stress and unpleasantness within yourself, expecting certain outcomes. Another way of releasing your expectations is we've all been disappointed. You think that life is going to go a certain way. You work hard at a job. You put in effort in an activity, and you anticipate what the outcome will be. But then you twist a knee or you break an ankle, and suddenly your dreams of being the Olympic skier are dashed. Or you have this anticipation, you've been moving up the ladder corporately, and you anticipate that down the road you're going to become one of the main players in the company, only to find out that the company is bought and they're downsizing and they get rid of you. So if you're able to let go of those expectations and just let life flow, then you're going to end up being happier, less stressed about every little thing. Again, I recognize that these things are easier said than done, and that we all project our wishes and our desires and our hopes and our dreams. But we have to be very careful that we're not attaching to them. The final point was about acknowledging discomfort. We have to know that there are going to be uncomfortable situations and embrace them. The more that we resist, the more that we push things away that are uncomfortable, the more they seem to come back to us. Have you ever noticed that? You push things away, and it's almost like you got a magnet and things are being drawn to you because you're pushing things away. You're working so hard at not having this happen in your life, but it just seems to attract. So acknowledge that there are going to be uncomfortable situations. Acknowledge that there are going to be uncomfortable people and situations, and that life itself can be uncomfortable at times. I found that article and those points very enlightening. It's not something that I haven't read in the past. It's not something that I haven't examined personally in my past. But to be reminded of them and to have them presented in such a concise way was really enlightening. The reason why I thought that this was pertinent to bring up is back to what I said before. In order to age well, you have to encompass all aspects of life. You have to not just acknowledge that you need to take good physical care of yourself, you also have to take good emotional and mental care of yourself. And taking some lessons from these points might help you a little bit with your stress and with your emotional and mental health. So I hope that that's helped you, and I thank you for watching this. I look forward to my next visit with you. Bye for now.